Hi, everybody. I'm Caryn Hartglass. You're listening to It's All About Food. Yesterday was Earth Day, and you know what that means. It was also my birthday, and I'm going to talk about what I did yesterday on Earth Day, my birthday, towards the end of the program, because I have a few things I want to get to first. But that's going to be the fun part of the program. This is going to be the newsy part of the program. So there's been a lot going on. One thing that's been going viral is a New York Times article that came out this weekend about Matthew Kenney. Have you read it? Behind a vegan chef's holistic empire, an ugly reality. Matthew Kenney, one of the most famous names in plant-based cuisine, has left a trail of burned investors, bounced paychecks, and graphic text messages. Now, this is like an ongoing theme. A few years ago, I did a show with Michelle Simon, which we called What's Happened to the Plant-Based Food Movement? I want to retitle that, What's Happened to the Vegan Food Movement? I continue to return to this question and this theme, and I give my opinion about how I don't think these big investments in inventions for cell-based meat and for highly processed meat analogs are a good idea. And then as we expand on that subject, we can talk about the investors in vegan restaurants. I'm not a wealthy person, but it seems that even the most well-meaning people who are angel investors, those who want to give their money to do good, and there are a lot of wealthy vegan investors, and that's a good thing. But it seems many of them are attracted to either organizations or people that are already successful, that have some celebrity status. If those organizations are doing great things, if those people who have attained some sort of celebrity status are doing good things, investing in them is fine. Any way to get people to realize that this planet Earth that we celebrated yesterday on Earth Day is our home that needs care and protection and doesn't need to be exploited of all the resources here that are limited resources that are on this planet, and that we need to respect all living things on this planet. If we can have organizations and people that encourage in one way or another to enlighten people and to eat so that they're not killing animals or exploiting the earth, that's all good. Unfortunately, fame, power, money often corrupts. I don't know Matthew Kenney personally. I believe I've met him in the past. In the early days of this podcast, I was communicating with him through social media, trying to get an interview with him, and he said, yes, I'm really busy, but I'll try to get on your program. Now I don't mind that I didn't get to speak with him. So apparently from this article in the New York Times, we have learned a number of things, and I'm going to pick out things from the article first. Matthew Kenney has had more than 50 restaurants across the globe, from Los Angeles to Sao Paulo to Dubai. He had a website, Matthew Kenney Cuisine, which is no longer accessible. And it used to list all the restaurants that he had. At least 17 of these restaurants associated with Mr. Kenney have shuttered since late 2021. Now, some people can reference the pandemic as a reason for that, because a lot of restaurants, unfortunately, could not make it through that time. But Matthew Kenney and his companies have been named in dozens of lawsuits in at least 9 states. I'm quoting the New York Times, alleging a variety of misdeeds, including illegal labor practices and stiffing creditors, landlords, and employees. And according to public records, Mr. Kenney owns $1.2 million in back taxes in New York State alone. And at the same time, New York Times reports that he has maintained what appeared to be a glamorous lifestyle, including renting a $20,000 a month house in West Los Angeles, paid for in part by his companies. I don't think that's good practice. Now, I remember back in 2004 when Pure Food and Wine, the raw vegan restaurant here in New York City, opened. And that was a Matthew Kenney restaurant with his then-wife, Sarma Mengalis. You may remember the Netflix series called Bad Vegan. We spoke briefly about it, and that was about his ex-wife, Sarma Mengalis, and all of her bad business practices. But we learned that Mr. Matthew Kenney was pushed out of that restaurant, Pure Food and Wine, by the restaurant's financial backer, who described Mr. Kenney in the series as a very talented chef who had a bad financial history. What's the point of talking about this? How many vegan restaurants are out there? Many. And I love frequenting the ones in my hometown that serve delicious vegan food that's organic, and the owners are kind, compassionate people filled with so much passion about what they're doing. These are really good people. I would like to see them supported. I would like to see them promoted. I've frequently said that in this capitalistic society, we like to think that big is better. And we're learning that big is not better. Small is better. Small in that an individual or a few individuals can manage the control of their company and make sure everything is being operated the way they want it to be. Now, it's true there can be a small company where the owner can be mistreating their employees and being racist and misogynist and all that. Yes, I know. But the many vegan restaurants that I know, where I know the owners and I know their passion, I know they're good. And the Matthew Kenney cuisine empire just got too big. An empire. Now, maybe Matthew Kenney, I don't know. Maybe he was a con man from the beginning. I don't know. He is a handsome man who knows how to talk to investors. And as a result, he's been able to get a lot of money out of many people. The sad thing is, this is the kind of thing that gets press. Not all the wonderful things that vegan companies are doing, the good vegan companies, the good vegan restaurants, the small businesses that are creating products with craft, with quality, and treating their employees well. And so I'm taking this time right now to do just that. Later in the program, when I talk about my birthday, I'll be highlighting some of those companies that I really appreciate. Now, many would say that Matthew Kenney is an artist and a genius when it comes to creating vegan food, and that may well be true. I have been to a number of Matthew Kenney restaurants. None of them have ever been my favorite, but I've had some interesting food and some good things. I think the one I liked the best was Baya in San Francisco, which is closed, unfortunately. He tended to use products that were already made, like commercial vegan cheeses and those highly processed plant meats, and that makes it easier. Makes it easier for a vegan restaurant to put dishes together quickly, because it takes time to not only chop your vegetables and bake your breads and prepare your desserts and make your sauces and make your own vegan cheeses and make your own meat analogs. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. We like a restaurant in Chinatown in Manhattan called Bodai Kosher. There's a few vegan Chinese restaurants in Chinatown, and they will use meat analogs that they don't make. I believe many of them they get from what used to be called Mewa and now is called Lily's Vegan Pantry. And I met Lily, and Lily is a lovely person. That store has a lot of interesting analogs, meat analogs, fish analogs, and you can have fun with those things. I'm not saying they're bad. Some are more processed than others. Some products I prefer more than others. And it can certainly make it easier in restaurants to have these products so that they can prepare food. Personally, I prefer frequenting restaurants that make most of their food and don't use these highly processed products. That's just me. But if it helps people get off the animal, that's a great thing. And so the sensational saga about Matthew Kenney will continue, and probably when it all wraps up, it will become the second season of Bad Vegan on Netflix, which I am not looking forward to. In other news, kind of good. So there have been some companies considering starting an octopus farm. You may have heard of that. And in Spain, Euronews reports, in the Euroviews, reckless and harsh octopus farming plans must be stopped. I'm reading from the article last week, Compassion in World Farming, along with the fellow NGOs Eurogroup for Animals and Animal Naturalis, revealed that the Nueva Pesca Nova's assessment of the environmental impacts of the octopus farm it plans to build failed to consider the significant threats it would pose to wildlife, the environment, and public health. As a result, the Canary Islands government rejected the assessment, highlighting a number of environmental and public concerns, and requested a far more detailed environmental assessment from the company. This is not a ban. This is just rejecting the environmental assessment. If you read about the company Nueva Pesca Nova, they have an interesting history with bankruptcy in 2014 and then finally acquiring some loans that enabled them to continue, but it's not a company that looks like they're doing good things. Certainly not starting an octopus farm. And then here in the United States, Washington State has become the first state to ban octopus farming, and that recently happened, which is fantastic news. California is also considering a ban, and Hawaii does not have a ban, but apparently there was a controversial octopus farm on Hawaii's Big Island, and they were ordered to cease and desist with non-permitted operations in January. They had 15 to 20 octopuses at a time in opaque 100-gallon tanks, and people were able to interact with them. Fortunately, right now, they're not allowed to operate. You may know that the octopus is a solitary being, and the idea of putting them together in groups in farms is very cruel, very insensitive, and very wrong. So the good news is perhaps we are stopping something before it starts. Quoting Dr. Jennifer Jacquet, in the midst of an ecological crisis, the people of Washington State have passed the world's first statewide ban on octopus farming. The decision is historic and visionary and shows the industrial octopus production is not inevitable. We can stop the mass production of octopuses before it begins. Now I want to get back to small businesses doing good things. We're going to talk about soap. And I'm excited. I mean, think about it. Soap is really important. And we're going to learn a little bit more about soap and why we want to change maybe the way we buy soap, the way we use soap. We want to think about what's in our soap. And who knows what else I'll come up with during this program on soap with Luke Wilson, the founder of Canary Clean Products. Welcome, Luke.
Hi, Caryn. Thanks so much for having me.
Now, I want to hear your story, but my first question is Canary. Where did that name come from? I'm thinking canary in the coal mine. Maybe there's something lighter.
No, you nailed it. That was exactly it. Yeah, a lot of people ask us that question. We brainstormed names for a long time, and we wanted to have a name that was a little bit provocative and a little bit maybe had a little bit more meaning and made you think about it. And Canary, I mean, I guess it's kind of basic, but sometimes people don't think about it. But yeah, Canary in the coal mine regarding plastic, the use of plastic, and then just other kind of chemicals and things and products that we use every day that we don't really think about. So.
And you decided to start this company Because?
I've always had a really strong passion for sustainability. I've always wanted to do something and leave the world a better place for my kids. I have 3 young kids. Fun fact, actually, I have an MBA in sustainability that I got 11 years ago now, and at the time it was all even new then. Rewind before that, I actually grew up on a self-sustaining farm in Texas. My mom was she's like an environmentalist, kind of a hippie. Before I was born, she actually had a vegetarian restaurant up in Estes Park, Colorado.
Cool.
Growing up, she had a number of jobs, but her last kind of endeavor was she had a health food store. So she's always about, health, the environment. Our farm was self-sustaining, I guess technically organic before organic was kind of a thing that you kind of had to pay for and put on your labels. So all that stuff was instilled for me from early on. We composted, we recycled when recycling in Texas was barely a thing. And then, years later, I got my MBA in sustainability, and I've worked for brands to try to, do more and do better with products that we make every day. And over the last couple of years, I just had this compelling, interest to get back and do something for myself, and versus working for another brand. I partnered with a childhood friend that I grew up with, who was in the kind of the space is consumer packaged goods, soaps, beauty products, oral care products, and he manufactures a lot of these products and packages them and things like that. So we kind of worked together, and I was like, hey, like I want to tackle this plastic issue. Looking around your bathroom, there's so much plastic, and it's all, frankly, it's single use. And plastic is not really recycled. If you look at some of the stats, in some of our research, we find that like 5% of plastic actually gets recycled. We started with toothpaste tablets and a concentrated mouthwash, and then we got into some soap. So yeah, and we're actually a pretty brand new company. We're only a little over a year old, so we're just kind of getting out there and trying to make some changes and grow our brand.
Okay, well, there's a lot of applause here. So applauding your mom.
Yes.
She sounds awesome. Yay, Mom. What's her name?
Her name was Sue. She passed away a couple years ago, but trying to leave build on to her legacy. So Sue
Right.
Shannon.
Okay, well, my condolences, but she lives on in you, and she certainly made a wonderful impression.
Absolutely.
And then I'm curious about when you studied sustainability and then you went to work for some brands, was there any greenwashing involved? Like looking like you're sustainable, but maybe not so much.
Yeah, definitely. I do think, kind of in a defense, in some of the brands I worked with, they made a concerted effort, but there's so many challenges throughout the supply chain. And there's also the challenges, especially public companies I worked for. There's always that kind of bottom line, and we pitched some products or some projects that were more sustainable, but they just didn't have the right margin at the time, so they were kind of passed on, so to speak. So until I think consumers really continue to demand sustainable products, where you're going to kind of get these economies of scale, I think that's kind of where it starts. I think it's a balance. Like consumers need to demand it, and the brands need to really make an effort to go out and be a little bit more risky and make it happen. But
so
they tried. But
here's why
there's a lot of
here's why I wanted to talk to you and other people like you. I think we need a major paradigm shift if humanity is going to survive. If we should survive, that's a different question, a different podcast. But if we are, we have to make some serious changes. And we know that capitalism in its current configuration does not work. There needs to be a societal element, a social element, a compassionate element, something that a sustainable element that cares about the earth and cares about all life on it. And that's not there right now. Right now, we're just praying to the prophet God And we're seeing over the decades how destructive it has been. And it affects so many things. The health of the planet, the health of people, the health of all life on Earth. People are losing jobs because things are becoming more convenient and companies are looking at efficiency, 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 a word that I don't particularly care for. And I think in some ways, in order to move forward, we have to take a step back and go small, not big. And global is a great thing in some ways, but you mentioned this, what was the wording you used? Well, we're using so many products to create one product, and they come from so many different places that you can't control them. And if you want to create a product that is truly sustainable, you need to have that control. You need to know where everything is coming from. And that's where simple is better, smaller is better, local is better.
Yeah.
And I want to promote those things. So I'm glad you're doing what you're doing. I'm wondering, though, do you have a vision of maybe some big giant company buying you out when you get popular enough?
Maybe. I honestly I've always just wanted to have a good small business. And, hopefully we're bigger than we are today, but I always just wanted to have a good small business that I would be proud of, to leave my kids, to just to do good things for, the community, and, employ some people and just I think there's various critical masses. Like right now, Canary is very small. Ideally, it's at a point to where it's just kind of takes care of itself. But then there's a point where things do get too big, and they become untenable. And I kind of want to be in that sweet spot in the middle is kind of my goal. And I think we could do that and live a very comfortable and happy life and still spend time with the kids and growing up and family time and things like that. So
That's a very admirable goal.
Yeah.
Let's talk about soap. It was funny. I was at the theater yesterday. I'm in a show, A Little Night Music, and in the dressing room bathroom, there was a dispenser of soap, which I normally don't pay much attention to. Sometimes I think, oh, is that soap vegan? Do I want to use it if it isn't? But this was a liquid soap that had Purell in it, and it said healthy soap. And all of a sudden, I just had like 1,000 thoughts. Like, why did they have to say healthy soap? And is it really healthy, this particular brand of soap? What's in that soap? And I'm thinking, maybe it isn't so healthy. So, healthy soap, what does that mean?
Yeah, well, to jump into it, and to put some disclaimers, I'm not a soap expert myself, but I can kind of tell you and share our story. I wanted to have a good all natural soap that lasts, it works well, it smells great. We're kind of big on making it just kind of smell, because when you have those good smells on your hands, in your household, it just makes for a happier day. And everything we do at Canary, we want to kind of have the best product out there, and because a lot of times, especially when it comes to consumers, it's all about the product. Like the product needs to work, people need to love it. And because we aren't actually soap experts, we did partner with some friends of ours up in Oregon who have had a soap making, an all natural and organic certified soap making facility in Oregon for the last 30 years. Really great, a really great team. And the other mission of Canary is to be more concentrated. There's a lot of waste and energy that's spent shipping like water weight around, because like water is the #1 ingredient in a lot of products. And so if you think about that, think about all those bulky refill containers and just bulkiness of liquid soap. It's just a lot of weight that
it's insane.
Yeah, it takes so much energy to ship that around. So we came up with this concentrated hand soap. It's highly concentrated. It's well, it's organic. Technically, we don't have the label on it just yet, but at the next run we do, we will. But if you look at the ingredients on the box, organic coconut oil, organic sunflower, there is a little bit of water, and then you have organic essential oils, basically. Um, so it's highly concentrated. It's a traditional milled soap. You basically we give it to you in a box. It comes sliced, has 12 slices in one box, and then you add the water to it when you get home in your bottle. It's a foaming hand soap, so it's actually designed and formulated to be a foaming type, but you also need a foaming hand pump to go with it. But with that, it's actually, even with the foaming hand pump, it's less, you're using less with each pump, so it lasts longer. So for this, our soap, for example, and business schools and people might think we're crazy, but this 1 bar of soap has 12 slices. It comes in a bottle of foaming soap. Each one of those bottles could probably last a month in your bathroom or sink. And so we're basically giving you a year supply of soap in this one box. This box costs $15. It's like $1.25 a bottle of soap for organic soap. The foam's really great, smells amazing, and lasts a long time. It's kind of a steal in today's standards. I mean, the cheapest soap of a bunch of chemicals, where you find at Target is like at $2 for a thing of soap, right?
Yeah.
So,
it's definitely time to rethink things. And for those of us, for example, in New York City, many people have tiny apartments and we don't have the space for all of these things. We've already moved to laundry sheets, so we're not using those big, crazy, big plastic containers of laundry detergent. And it's just so wonderful to do that. It doesn't take up a lot of space. You can travel with it and you can do your laundry in other places and not have to buy the little packages of laundry detergent. It just makes so much sense. Why are we shipping water around?
Real side note on the laundry sheets, I love it, and you can add this or not, and we've used them for a while, but I love the concept. It's less water waste, but in order to get that sheet to stay a sheet, it actually uses microplastics.
Oh, really? Okay, I wasn't aware of that. There must be some that don't.
They are working on it to make it to where it's more of a PLA microplastic or PLA material. And again, I'm not an expert, but I have done a lot of research around it, and that's kind of our findings. We are working on a concentrated laundry soap as well at Canary. So.
Good to know. Ooh, I'm gonna have to check out
but
my sheets.
It's all everyone. I love the effort and the endeavor to make these changes. And that's kind of what it takes. And sometimes it's incremental, but you do have to make sure that you're not leaving more of an impact behind. So.
Well, there's plenty of arguments right now about electric cars.
Sure.
They save fuel, but what's going into them and what kind of energy and resources, and are we just creating another nightmare?
Yeah. Back to the soap real quickly. There are some brands over the last couple of years that have come out and have had some concentrated soaps. They come in a tablet. It's a really cool, novel idea. I won't name the brands, but some of them are kind of big. But the tablet is actually more of a detergent, and it has a lot more chemicals in it than what we have. We are an oil-based, organic oil-based soap, and I think we're probably the first of our kind to have an organic, all like concentrated soap. So.
Well, I like to say that when we're using personal care products, they should be made with things we can eat.
Yeah.
So
I think we could eat all this. It even has vitamin E in it.
Right. There you go. Well, the skin is our largest organ and it takes all of that stuff in. So it's really important to think about. Thank you for that. I've used the product. I love the way it smells. Fir needles, just a nice fresh fragrance. And it's easy. It works. It's kind of fun, actually. You put the soap in the water. We did it overnight. And then you wake up in the morning and it's all liquid and melted and ready to go.
Yeah, it actually dissolves pretty fast. If you do it in like warm to hot water, it can dissolve in under 30 minutes. And if you do it in kind of room tempered cold, it maybe takes an hour. But yeah, just pop it in overnight, and in the morning it's there ready for you. We have a fir needle and sage, very refreshing. We live in Southern California, so it's kind of reminds us of some of those. scents in the environment. And then we also offer a cedar mint, which is I think a little bit more bold or musky, has a little bit patchouli in there, you know, but the cedar mint reminds me of like a cabin in the mountains or something. So those are the 2 scents we have now.
I think we learned as a society, or relearned, some of us anyway, that it's important to wash our hands. After we went through the COVID-19 pandemic, we learned about how hand washing is important, not to spread germs. And hand washing is really important for so many things. And it's funny, we recently saw a new play in London called Dr. Semmelweis, and it's based on a true story of Dr. Semmelweis, who realized that medical doctors were studying cadavers in the morning and then going and delivering babies later in the day and not washing their hands, and women were dying. And simply washing hands makes that difference. It's not that hard to slough off the bad bacteria, and we don't need any antibacterial components in there. Just the soap will do it.
Absolutely. A lot of those, there's a lot of properties in the ingredients and the essential oils and some of these other oils that they wash away the grime, but they also have natural, you know, some of those natural elements in there to kill that bacteria and clean your hands. Yeah, it was funny. One of the ideas that sparked this, you know, you probably remember in COVID, everyone wash your hands a lot throughout the day, and like your hands were getting really dry, right? And we're at the same time kind of testing and trying out these other brands, and some of them were more the detergent tablet type brands, and they were really drying our hands out. So having these, you know, these all natural ingredients, like we find that one of the biggest feedback we've had from our customers as well is like how highly moisturizing it is. Like there's a lot of it helps leave a lot of moisture on your hands after you wash them too.
Excellent. So you talked about some future products. Are you thinking about dish soap? I really need a good dish soap.
Yeah, and you're not the first person to mention that. We do need to kind of work on the dish soap. It's a little bit down on the project list, but it's something, and we've explored it, and we've kind of done some research of some other products out there, but we need to we need to bump that up the list.
Yeah, we stopped using our dishwasher and we hand wash everything. And
oh, good, yeah.
I think it's beneficial. The dishwasher is now a giant drying rack.
Drying rack, yeah. I was gonna say
it works.
Drying. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but the soap takes up a lot of room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have, like, we've seen some kind of all natural bar soaps that sit on the counter. We haven't really been happy with some of those product testing, but we would probably do something like this that comes in a box, and it's like a concentrated dish soap is what we would aim for. Similar, we are working on laundry in a few different angles, but one of which is similar to this, where it's a concentrated bar that you add water to for your laundry.
So you have a couple of other products I have not tried, but tell us about the toothpaste or the what do you call them? Tooth pills.
Yeah, we've heard, yeah, tooth pills, tooth tabs. We call them toothpaste tablets. I guess I didn't send you some samples. I'll send you some samples. Have you heard of or tried tablets before?
No, I use a powder personally.
Okay.
My partner uses a regular cream toothpaste in a tube, but I have the EcoDent powder, but it does come in a plastic container. Yeah,
I was gonna ask. Okay. So toothpaste tablets, I guess they're closer to the powder. You know, I should probably know this or research. They've been around for many, many years, especially in other countries. It was probably a half dozen years ago. There was a lady who was on Shark Tank. Her brand is, you know, the leader of this in this space. And there's a lot of people doing toothpaste tablets. We wanted to make some that tasted great and you know, the best taste on out there and still are efficient. So, because a lot of the ones that we've tested, frankly, just don't taste very good.
Mm.
So what we find in our in this journey is one, about 95% of people have never even heard of toothpaste tablets. And then the other people that do have heard of them, maybe they've tried some and they didn't like them. So we're like, well, it's a cool idea. Let's just make the product better. So that's what we're trying. Admittedly, our first original formula and our original tablets that we sold last year, they were great, but they were kind of small. So we've just relaunched our tablets and it's a bigger tablet. We've also added a new all natural ingredient derived from coconuts that makes it more foamy as well. So they taste great. They foam up in your mouth. So what you do is you just pop them in your mouth and you chew and then you brush.
Mm-hmm.
Once you start chewing, they start foaming.
Cool. And we're smart enough to know not to swallow it.
Hopefully, yeah. You can swallow them. I mean, it's all natural ingredients.
Right.
It does have some all natural sugars. If you have too much of them, it can make a tummy ache, so to speak. But you'd have to swallow like the whole container probably.
Yeah. Cool.
So yeah, they real quick, just on the kind of the main product is like our peppermint tablets. You can buy them in a jar. The jar is meant to be refilled. It's glass. We are looking at aluminum and other options because glass is kind of heavy, but we also wanted it to look cool and look good on your countertop. So it is glass. And then it's meant to be refilled, and we have compostable pouches to refill them with. These are actually certified to be home composting too, but they're just a PLA and paper pouch. And we have little sample sizes or little small sizes that last a month. But they're great. I think once they are, admittedly, toothpaste tablets are kind of weird when you first start using them because, we've been using, gel or paste all of our lives, right? But after using them for, a couple weeks, you definitely get used to it. I've been using them for a couple years now, and I actually have tried to go back to like a normal paste just to try it, and I think that feeling is kind of gross now. So it's interesting
Okay.
how your body kind of evolves around it.
Right.
So yeah, they don't have fluoride in ours, but they have some ingredients that basically replace fluoride. They're all natural ingredients that are getting more and more scientific evidence around them as well. But they've been around the natural community for a long time. The other thing is, going along, we do say that, we do promote that ours are vegan. We did learn that it's surprisingly like, why wouldn't your toothpaste be vegan? But there are a lot of ingredients, some of those chemical derived ingredients that are animal product based, like glycerin and artificial colors and flavorings too. So ours again are all natural, vegan, cruelty free. And then the other thing we have a couple kids flavors, or they're maybe the kids inspired. Adults can use them too, but we have a strawberry, kiwi, and a watermelon toothpaste tablets, and our kids love them. Like you think about kids and toothpaste, one you think about mess, like it's messy, and two, a lot of kids just don't like to brush their teeth. Once we started giving our kids these tablets, they're like, oh, this is fun. It's like candy.
Right. Just don't eat them.
Yeah, just don't eat them. Just make sure you spit them out. So yeah, just coach your kids with that. We've had a lot of friends who have called us and said, man, my kid wants to brush their teeth 5 times a day. Like they're obsessed. So
That's great.
that makes it fun. My oldest, he did a second grade project last year about the plastic issue, and he brought up our company and brought toothpaste tablets to class, so it was fun. So
yeah, all good. Luke, this is good stuff. Thank you for wanting to do good for the planet. You are with Canary Clean, and it's a pleasure meeting you and trying your products, and I'm happy to
thank you
find
so
more
much.
about it.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me.
All the best to you. Thanks for joining me today.
All right, have a great day.
Okay, bye. That was Luke Wilson, founder of Canary Clean Products. You can find out more at canarycleanco.com. I want to bring on Gary Mattei because he got to share my birthday, Earth Day with me yesterday. There's a rhyme in there somewhere. Hey, Gary.
Hi, Caryn. Happy day after your birthday.
Yeah, I'm wiped out.
That was fun yesterday. We had a great time.
Well, first of all, the weather was perfect.
Yeah.
And that was something to celebrate because it hasn't been perfect in New York for a while.
No, it hasn't. It's been terrible. But it was cold. It got cold. And I don't know, when are we going to get closer to the sun? Isn't that supposed to happen at some point?
It's happening little by little.
Little by little.
Yeah, we don't want to get too close, though.
Speaking of soap, I'm particularly interested in how people treat their skin because a long time ago when I was in high school, I took a physiology class and I was astonished, and it stuck with me all of this time. I remembered our physiology teacher telling us that the human skin is the largest organ in the body. Now, to have an organ exposed to the elements like that at the time, I thought was a remarkable thing. And why do we treat our skin so poorly? So you would imagine, and a lot of people don't. A lot of people take care of their skin, but a lot of people don't start taking care of their skin until they get older, until they become adults.
Until it's maybe too late.
So to be aware of the type of soap that you're using would seem to me to be a priority. And so you would want your soap to be as pure as the soap that we tested here at home. That Luke Wilson of Canary has, the thought he's put into his soap is wonderful. It sounds like it's good for your skin. It's not something toxic for your skin.
Yeah, I had said when I spoke with Luke that, and I've said this before, that anything you put on your skin should be made of ingredients that you can eat. Because you are eating, you are taking it into your body when you put it on your skin. And right now, as we're talking about skin, I was noticing a little jar that had a little bit left of the skin cream that I make for myself here at home.
Right.
And I'm enjoying putting it on my hands right now that are feeling a little dry. It's made of shea butter, cocoa butter, and almond oil. And it is so delicious. I want to eat it, but I don't.
That cocoa butter really has a great smell.
Oh, yes, it does.
To think of the skin as an organ that's exposed to the elements, you'd want to really start taking care of it as soon as possible.
One of the things that came out a bunch of years ago, some people had this great idea that I'm putting air quotes around the word great. Of course, so many new things people come up with always have side effects. So there are these antibacterial soaps, and turns out they're not good for us. We don't need to put antibacterial toxic materials into our soap. Soap, just regular soap, does the job of sloughing off the bacteria that we don't want on our hands. Some of the bad bacteria that might be carrying germs, or viruses that might be carrying germs, that when we touch our face, like I'm doing right now, we breathe in and eat. And yeah, just regular soap is good. We don't need antibacterial components because that makes bacteria resistant. Bacteria get smart. And we want our antibiotics to work when we need them.
Exactly.
So we can't abuse them.
And skin plays, the textbooks say, an important immunity role in protecting the body against pathogens and excessive water loss.
We take our skin for granted, that's for sure. We don't even realize it's our biggest organ, and it's alive, and it's taking in everything.
So make sure you know what's in your soap. That would be the message.
Right.
It's going to be absorbed. It's going to be absorbed into your body through the skin.
All right, I want to talk about my birthday because yesterday was a gorgeous day, and you kept asking me, where do I want to go for lunch? Where do I want to go for dinner? And it turned out I wanted to go to 2 restaurants that I think are the best, period. Why?
Yeah.
Because their food is excellent. Some might consider it old school, and I don't care. The food is organic, and the owners are full of love and passion and vision. And they are not con men like I was talking about earlier in the program, Matthew Kenney. They really believe
Right.
in what they're doing.
Yeah, it's to focus on a couple of restaurateurs who clearly have their stuff together enough. I mean, these two guys are extremely motivated to stay in business this long. There's got to be something that inspires you to do this day after day after day and not lose interest and say, okay, well, I've opened that restaurant. Now let me open another restaurant and let me open another restaurant and let me open another restaurant. But to really focus on their individual stores. They have one location apiece, these two proprietors, and they really, really find every single day something that motivates them to get up. I mean, the restaurant business is hard. It's so difficult. It's difficult when you have all kinds of employees working for you, but can you imagine when your staff is manageable for one owner, but still, as Vlad of Organic Grill was saying yesterday, he's opening now for lunch, and that requires another 60 hours a week on his schedule. You run out of time, but somehow these people make the time, find the time to keep these places open. His restaurants, these two restaurants we went to yesterday, they're always clean. The food is always well prepared. I've never had a bad meal at either of them. Yeah, you say maybe old school, but what does that mean, actually, old school? It just means good, clean, pure food, minimally processed, tasty. Neither restaurant uses a whole lot of salt or sugar in any of their products that require salt or sugar. And they care enough to feed you food like the soap that Luke makes that isn't going to enter your body and do terrible things. It's going to go right to work.
It really isn't old school because
I don't even know what old school means.
I don't know either, but people have commented and said, oh, these.
Old school means what? That they don't use some sort of new method of cooking because it's food. I mean, you're putting food together.
But so they both keep up with the times, and they both offer ingredients that we're discovering are good for us or delicious. So they stay on top of the trends.
Right. And with respect to Organic Grill again, and of course, we're talking about Organic Grill and Caravan of Dreams, the two restaurants.
I recently interviewed both of them, Vladimir Grinberg of Organic Grill and Angel Moreno of Caravan of Dreams.
Both excellent restaurants. They've both been around years. I know that Caravan has been around, what, over 30 years?
Caravan was founded in 1991.
Wow.
So that's 33 years. And Organic Grill in 2000, so 24 years. And most restaurants can't say that.
No. And these guys work hard.
They work hard.
It's a tough business. So you wanted to support that. And plus, it was Earth Day yesterday, and these restaurants make a point to be conscious of what they're doing to the earth, the footprint that they make. I really applaud them both. It's great places. And what's nice is when we were at Organic Grill, we were sitting next to a traveler from Vienna, right? From Austria?
From Austria, yeah.
And they had read about Organic Grill on Happy Cow.
HappyCow.net. HappyCow.net.
And so they thought they'd try it, and they seemed to be very happy with their choice.
Yeah, so Organic Grill just opened up for lunch. Before they were only open from 4 to 9 or 4 to 10, and now they've opened from noon to 4 on the weekdays. So we were there for the first day of their lunch service.
Yeah, it was great. Had the Philly cheese steak, and I'm doing air quotes, sandwich. It was on a ciabatta roll. And if you don't have any problem with wheat, which I don't, this is the sandwich for you. And it was delicious. And it came with either a side of chili, which was multi-bean chili. It had lentils. It had little black beans in it. It had all kinds of wonderful beans, and it was delicious. Again, it wasn't too salty. None of it was salty. I know a lot of people are concerned about salt, so it was great. We shared an order of
Yukon Gold potatoes.
Oven baked, not
oven baked.
Fried. So those were delicious. And what did you have?
I had one of the lunch combos, which came with a couple of quesadillas with a coconut-based mozzarella vegan cheese, and had butternut squash and mushrooms, which I love. And I could get a side of the soup of the day or the chili, I think. And I got the soup of the day, which was matzo ball soup, because last night was the first night of Passover. So I thought, why not have matzo ball soup?
Right. And there was no wheat at all in your dish because the tortillas for your quesadillas were corn.
There was wheat in the matzo ball soup, though.
There was?
Yeah. It's not a gluten-free soup.
Ah, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, that's right. Matzah is wheat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a blessed wheat.
For some reason, I thought matzah was just some strange name for some grain, but it's not.
Unleavened wheat.
Well, you could tell how religious I am.
I'm not. I just like different kinds of food during the year.
Right, right. The traditional foods are fun to celebrate with.
And then we had a molten banana cake, and it had a like gooey caramel interior and some soy whipped cream, totally yum, and some wonderful teas. Vladimir is one of these places that has some of the best organic bulk teas, so many different combinations and mixes, really lovely.
Yes, it was delicious. And I had the cannoli for dessert, and that was very good. If you like cannolis, it was great. It was vegan. Not all the time you can get a vegan cannoli. It had little tiny chocolate chips. It was good. But his desserts are they're really good. He's got a lot of great desserts.
And some of them are raw. He has gluten-free, vegan desserts, and raw desserts, and then some that are just vegan, not gluten-free or raw. And the same with Angel Moreno at Caravan of Dreams. He's got a big raw food menu in addition to lots of vegan cooked food items.
We had some great food at Caravan as well. It's called the Caesar salad, but it has more than that. It was, again, I had seitan with that. It was like a chicken Caesar, obviously with air quotes around the chicken. It wasn't chicken, but it was made from seitan. It has a layer of black beans on the bottom, this really great creamy, it did taste blue cheesy dressing. It was very good. And then for dessert, I had a cup of hot chocolate. Did you have the hot chocolate as well?
I did, and it had all these different mushroom powders in it. It was so good for you, and yet it tasted rich and sweet and decadent.
Yeah, what was your entree?
I had the shiitake mushroom burger. Very good.
That looked really good.
And it came with a side salad. I was very happy. And we both had green juices, and Caravan makes their own green juices, and they are excellent.
They are excellent. And you met some activist friends of yours who were doing an event in the back?
Sarab Dalal, wonderful long-term activist, and he was speaking at an event in the back room. There was a combination of some vegan meetup group and some plant-powered detractors or something.
Right.
They were having a nice Earth Day event in the back.
That's another cool thing about both restaurants is they do, in addition to serving food, they have events. For example, Vlad is right next door to a jazz club, a very famous jazz club in New York City called the Blue Note. And he's right next door to the Blue Note. So in his restaurant, he has now some entertainment. He has musicians come in and comedians, vegan comedians. He's really trying to put a great calendar of events together. Angel has this awesome back room at Caravan of Dreams where they do events. You can rent out the room for events, and there was one going on last night. And then what was also a bonus is Angel also has live entertainment going on in Caravan of Dreams. There was this great duo singing all of Caryn's favorite songs. It just
my old favorites. It was very nostalgic.
Yeah, some of the music that Caryn loves to sing by Joni Mitchell and
Bonnie Raitt, Grateful Dead, Bob Dylan, Judy Collins.
Really cool. Just a magical place. When in New York, check out both restaurants and tell them Gary and Caryn sent you.
Yeah, and we ended that magical day with a warm brownie with ice cream, vegan ice cream on top. They served it with a candle. It was very sweet. The little duo band sang happy birthday. These two restaurants, Caravan of Dreams and Organic Grill, not only is the food vegan and organic, but they both created an ambiance and community This is where you have a community and you feel comfortable. There's no conning going on. There's no craziness. It's just really good businesses.
Right. And that's the way things need to be. We need to go back to more of that.
That's the message. That's the message, Gary.
It's the message.
Yeah. So let's wrap this up. That's our message for today, day after Earth Day, my birthday, on It's All About Food. Gary, thank you so much for a beautiful day yesterday.
I'm glad we had fun, and I'm glad you had a great birthday, and let's just keep celebrating right on through until next year.
You've been listening to It's All About Food. I'm Caryn Hartglass here with Gary Mattei. You can find us at Responsible Eating and Living. Send emails at info@realmeals.org. Everybody, have a delicious week.
Have a delicious week.
Bye-bye.